They are the parents. Parenting does not mean just guiding the children on the general values, but they must instill in them our the bhakti or the dedication to our land, to our Madhur Bhumi, our precious Bharat.
The kind of help parents can give requires mindfulness in the sense of being attentive to the child, understanding the child, and being responsive to the child's needs, because ultimately the child's happiness should be all that matters to us as parents.
Spacecraft came out of the womb of the rocket, and I felt always like that. The mother takes it to the space, it delivers it there for a greater journey beyond that point. I think that symbolizes the roles of a parent and the journey of a child.
To be a mindful parent, or to walk the path of mindful parenting, I think we as parents need to regulate our emotions. We need to be very strong. We need to be like a role model for the children, because they keep looking at us, they keep watching us, they keep picking up a word or thought of what we express.
This is a beautiful initiative, mindful parenting. I think it's such a need of an hour, because there's so much of confusion, there's so much of content. There are certain cultures that try to impress upon us, put parents into a box, put children into a box, that you should co-sleep for this amount of years, you should do this, you should do that, failing to understand the individuality of a child, the uniqueness of a child, that every child is different, every child may need different emotions from a parent at a particular time. And
in mindful parenting or conscious parenting, it's very important that the minute we start treating children as equal to parents, and we stop believing that we need to fix somebody, it makes a world of a difference, because then you're giving them equal respect and equal love.
So, the power to empower is coming from here. So whether it's parents, whether it's educators, actually the entire society, because we are who are creating that energy. It's like we live in Delhi, so the air pollution, somebody else may be creating it, but everybody is getting affected by it. Similarly, who's creating the vibration of the city, and the children living in that city are getting affected.
Not actually we give children, or we are teaching, or we are giving something. Actually, we are learning from them. The parenting, in my perspective, is something in this era is that we share and we learn together. So what I have been giving is not I'm going to teach something. Their IQ and their EQ and their generations are completely changing. Every day is an update. Every day is an upgrade.
How nice.
Jai Dhari Baap Sabko. We welcome our audience. Sir, welcome you very, very warmly. Ajay sir, very welcome. Mummy, thank you. Immense gratitude. Sir, in sports, you have to give your all. And in parenting, you have to give your all. You have to give your all in sports the way you've given with so much of dedication. And in parenting, you have to also follow. Mommy, please share a few words and then we want to ask Sir to talk about his journey of parenting.
Gopi is parenting the country for badminton. You have all youth wanting to learn badminton. You are their parent, Gopi. How do you feel? It's so responsible. You are a parent to your children, but that's biological. But you are parenting for badminton, the whole nation. You parented, some of your children have now become fathers and grandfathers in a way because they've become coaches also. But you have made a great niche for yourself as a father of you're a father for badminton. So how do you feel, how you've done it? Share with us your journey, Gopi.
Um, Thank you very much for having me. Um, Thank you for the kind words as well, ma'am. For me, this journey as a coach, um, as a parent also, or as a player in many sense, many of these things have come up, and it's very unfortunate that we are forced, or we are unprepared when we go into parenting. And a lot of times we just are there, we face issues, but we have not really prepared for it. And I think that's a bit of a concern for me even in my life, because I would have really wanted to be ready to be a parent in the first place. I think when people get married, I think one of the biggest questions we should be asking ourselves is, are we ready to bring another soul into the world? Are we ready to give that soul, that body, what they require in terms of sanskar, whether they have, whether we have it in them to impart them the knowledge, the security which is required to bring them into this world. And only if we are ready to do that, I think we should become a parent. Otherwise, we are not eligible to be a parent. I think this is a big question, which I don't think when I got married and I had a kid, I had an idea of this. But I wish people had told me this. I wish people talk about this, because why you get married and you fall in love with somebody, or you're getting an arranged marriage done, uh, and you are just there and you don't know why you're actually a parent. And I think unless you're prepared, you should not become a parent. I think that's the first thing which is very important for me to put up, because I wasn't ready. And luckily for me, I had my parents living with me, and I think that was a big thing. The parenting bridge is very important. I think in the earlier generations, if people weren't ready, I think we were lucky that our grandparents, or the kids' grandparents, would live with them, and I think they were taking care of it. I think somewhere down the line, that bridge between the wisdom, or and the knowledge, the storytelling ability, the time which they have, the love which they have, is actually imparted to the next generation, is very, very important. I think for that reason, I think I'm also a proponent of people who would think that you should get married early, you should have kids a little early, so that your grandparents actually can parent your child. I think that is an important thing which we kind of miss out in this new generation of growing up, because with single parents, with when you're 30 years old, when you're 35 years old, when you're busy building your own career, and you're very busy with doing that. And if you have a kid, then actually you're not devoting the kind of time which is really required. And I think parenting from that perspective, or grandparents from that perspective, become a very important thing. I've also had to take this big role. Now, I was lucky. My kids had my mother and my father there. My Lakshmi's mother and father there. Lakshmi had a lot of time, so actually they took a lot of that. But it also gave me, in some sense, to become the parent of many other kids, because my job as a coach was very difficult one, because a lot of the times parents would come and say, sir, if you say it, it is done. If we say, we're not getting it done. So from that perspective, when I look at myself as a coach, I think that responsibility is huge. And as a leader, as a coach, I think one thing which you cannot do is any wrong, because if you have a blot in your character, I think that is the end of your respect. And I think that's something which, as a coach, you have to protect. And also, I guess, as a parent, you have to protect. It's almost like a boat which has a hole at whichever corner. So, somewhere down the line, your character cannot have any areas which are deficient. Unfortunately, that's the reality, because you could lose your respect and they could lose the idolization of you because of those issues. And I think you have to be very careful to present yourself in a way to protect your true nature, in a way that they look up to you always. And I see this very clearly when I coach young kids more than the adult kids. As a senior coach, if I'm training older kids, people who are say 18, 20, I could drink, I could actually go party with them, I could do some other stupid things, and they're allowing me to actually do that. That's no problem, because they mature and they understand it. But if I have a 9-year old or an 8-year old or a 7-year old, they exactly, they're not listening to what I'm saying, they're following what I'm doing. So if I have a bad style of game, they will just follow me. If I have a good style of game, they will just follow me. They're just mirroring me. And I think in some sense, that is also what is happening as a parent and a child. The kid is actually mirroring you, he's not listening to you. And I think your greatest opportunity is when you are in difficult times, and there are these times when you can showcase your character. I think they're looking up to you, and at those times and few times in life, you have those opportunities to show them your leadership, so show them a sense of sacrifice, show them a sense of character which is above these things. And I think that is where you start earning the respect, and they will want to be like you when they grow up. And I think that is a very important thing. And for me, um, for us to talk about this is very important, especially to people who are going to get married, who are going to become parents. I think, are you ready? Are you ready to spend the time? Are you ready to spend and know that when a new soul is brought into this earth, do you have the sanskar, do you have the shiksha to bring them up properly? And if you are ready to do that, both of you, then I think you are eligible to be a parent. And I think it is not by chance that we should become parents and then figure it out, because we don't have the right to bring somebody into this world if we don't have the capability of taking care of them. This is what I strongly believe in. And I also strongly believe that our culture and our grandparents have played a huge role previously, and somehow in this new age of smaller families, nuclear families, I think we are missing out on them. And I think if we are missing out on them by any chance, I think it's very important that we have the capability to bring them up ourselves, and that I think is very, very important. I'll stop it here. Thank you.
Thank you
Sir,
so much, Gopi.
ji,
Can't
sir,
be say, can't be saying more and better than this. On, isn't it, Ajay?
True,
Ajay,
ma'am.
can't be more than this.
ji,
Yes.
sir, I
Yeah.
think, ji, I'm sharing this with Gopi sir and Ajay sir and me and the audience. I can't help it. My question to you is going to be, is there a connectivity issue?
I have a challenge getting your voice clearly for some reason.
Sir, you can hear me now?
This
Not
some
very clear.
disturbance in between.
There's a
Can you
lot
hear
of
But,
mine?
disturbance.
Can you hear mine, Gopi?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you, ma'am.
sir, give me
Can you
just a moment.
can you hear Ajay's? Can you hear Ajay's?
Can you?
Ajay, can
No,
Sir, what
Ajay
about
sir, also,
now, sir?
I'm having a
Can you
challenge.
hear me?
Only when, ma'am, I'm able to hear you properly.
Now, sir?
Yeah, a little better.
But okay, I'm going to try this. Sir, I think this is beyond, this is not about sports. I think this is spiritual, what you've said. And I can't help it but to ask my question in the form of a story. It's sitting inside my heart. I have to ask you a story. I'm going to share a story with you. I'm going to take a minute extra. Share this story with you. I don't think there's anybody better than you to answer this. Sir, a little boy stands in front of, I heard this story and I'm adding my little thoughts to it. A little boy stood in front of Lord Krishna's temple and he would go on chanting. He would chant for a while, very with great intensity. And there was a priest watching him. And he saw the boy do this for a few days. And the priest came to the boy and said, "You don't know, you're too young for Vedic mantras. What are you chanting?" Tiny boy. He says, "I've just learned the alphabets in school. So I'm chanting all my alphabets for Lord Krishna, and the Lord can make his own prayer for me out of them. The Lord can word it for me. The Lord can make his own words for me and make my prayer." Sir, purity of thought, word, deed, intent. Why are we not driving home this in our children's life? We are talking about integrity, honesty, great. Purity. Sir, I'm only talking about purity of thought, word, deed, intent. I specify, I'm not talking about habits and food. Please, I'm talking about purity of thought, word, deed, intent. We are not seeking it for ourselves as parents, and we are not talking about it. We're not driving this point home, sir. Ji, sir.
I think
Gopi said it, actually. Gopi said it, that you cannot have a hole in your own clothing. He said it, that you had a mirror and children copy you. That's what he said exactly. But go ahead, Gopi. What are your response to what Saina just said?
ma'am, I think today, with the various cultures being mixed, and I see this as a big challenge, because even in the last, say, 20 years of my coaching career, earlier I would not have any issue with telling people something and they following it up. That's how coaching system was. You say something and you start doing it. Today, even a young kid is actually saying things. If I say him, you have to run 3 rounds, he's going to ask me, why should I run 3 rounds? I'm actually playing badminton. Why do I need to? So today I need to explain to him better, because people's education has become better. Their alphabetical literacy has become better, but the core is what is important, and I think that is what Saina mentioned, and that is what I think is very important. The core is what is important. I can have a lot of people come and talk about hard work and discipline very well. They can articulate it very well. They can actually put logic to their arguments very, very well. But the same people, you run them through 2 days of hard work and they crack. And the problem is that we are having too much of importance given to words, and too many things are being said very nicely. The presentation is very nice, but the inner core is actually very, very hollow. So when you have challenges, you're breaking. When you have failures, you're leaving. And when you're talking big. But when you're actually faced with issues, you're actually buckling down. I think that for me is the core issue which is important. For me, to have more and more people actually pure from inside, to have strength of character from inside, and who we are able to say that this man will not buckle and this man cannot do this in a long career, I think is very, very important. I think we need those kind of people, not the people who are actually, you see them and they talk very nice, they present very nice, they could talk about things in life very well, but their inside is very, very hollow and their lives are very hollow. You want those people who are actually living that life in this world. You want Krishna in a modern day navigate through life with a smile and to actually face bigger and bigger challenges. That's how I think I would reflect on what Sainaji is saying.
So I'll ask if there isn't any other question. I'll ask sir. So forgive me if I can't phrase it. I seek forgiveness if I can't phrase it right. So what's the difference between being smart, being wise?
Hold on. Sana, hold on. Let's have since let you you repair whatever you need to do so your sound is good. Meanwhile, let's have a response from Ajay and Rahul. Maybe their sounds are okay. Ajay, can you respond to this?
Can you hear me? Is it better? Fine.
Yeah, a little better.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gopichand. It's an absolute privilege to have you with us. Your incredible journey as a player, coach, and parent offers such a unique perspective. Sports play a transformative role in child's development, going beyond physical fitness to instill critical life skills such as discipline, resilience, teamwork, and leadership. So I'm particularly interested in hearing your thoughts on how sports can influence parenting, how the discipline, resilience, and teamwork inherent in sports can shape a child's character and values. What insights can you share with parents who want to harness these qualities to help their children grow into well-rounded individuals?
Yeah, I could hear some of the questions, so I'm correct. clearly.
You
So
want
I
to
am
repeat?
thinking that you wanted to find me to just respond to how do you think children can benefit from sport broadly.
Yes.
I think it's a very important thing. Of course, the health benefits or the fitness benefits are there to see. But I think very, very important, the way I look at it is, especially when you start to have affluence and you are able to actually give and get things what you want. Like I would remember as a child, if I wanted an ice cream, I would have to ask for a few days or sometimes months, and I would get one after my exams or something. So that is how it was when I was younger. And for many of us, probably it was like that. But today, for many of them, including my kids, the moment they want something, before they even talk about it, there is already things available to them. So for a lot of us, a rejection is not happening early in life at all. We are not prepared to l- not get no as an answer. Many kids, in the sense, I want this car, that small toy, I want an ice cream, I want to go out and eat. It's like okay. So everything is an okay, and they almost have a sense of no rejection happening or no failure also happening, because many schools today also talk about no exams till 8th class, you should not, and they have a particular reason. But imagine a kid who has never had to learn no, goes to an age of 25 and 30 and starts working in an organization, and he starts to see his first failure. How much of a problem would that be? How much of a problem would it be when he's never actually failed an exam? Because we don't tell failure publicly. Our schools don't tell that who's the person who's failed in class. They will only say that one person failed in class or one person got a little less. And grades are also A, B, C. So nobody is telling. But imagine when he grows up and a girl rejects him or a boy rejects him, or uh, there is actually a promotion which happens, it's supposed to happen, and everybody gets it and he doesn't get it. He is not prepared to take that publicly. Compared to that, to a kid who is 10 years old and he's playing in front of 50 people in a school tournament and he loses. Public failure is something which sport teaches you instantly there. And if your kid at 10 years old can handle failing in front of other people and comes back the next day and tries again, and after a few months wins again, the kind of confidence which he gets is unparalleled. And that life lesson is single most important thing I think our kids should learn, especially if you're coming from a privileged background. And this is not make no nothing else will prepare you other than sport. I don't see anything else prepared, because you will actually get over life without failing for a long time. But when real failure hits, and if it hits you publicly, then you're really gone, because you haven't been trained for it. So sport we need to play. The second thing I think which is also very important is equality, whether it's gender, or whether it's people coming from a slum and without a shoe and beat you in a running race. I think we don't need to teach them about equality. I think, boss, you'll get your life lessons very quickly that you are not privileged, and privilege cannot get you anywhere. You will have to work your way to win. I think that also comes from sport. I think these are basic fundamental things which sport teaches us, which actually is, I think, if you have to get stronger, you have to get up early, you have to actually work on your body, you have to eat properly, you have to be disciplined. All these things are fine. But these life lessons which actually happen are very, very important. But also very important that sport has its own negative points and we cannot run away from it. 99.9% literally of people who actually start playing sport don't make it. So it is ridden with huge amounts of failure. But if you look at medals as the only way of succeeding, then there is a lot of failure. But if you add life lessons to it, if you add discipline to it, if you add health to it, if you add the whole team environment to it, decision making to it, then the very element of participation in sport itself is a success. So I think we as parents need to make our kids play sport. They have to think that they have no way but to succeed, and it's important that they succeed. But we have to be prepared knowing that they will fail, and we have to become their security net, because when they fall, we should protect them and push them again on that path. I think that element is very important. I do not think it's a good idea that parents should be coaching. I think parents should be actually helping and supporting and behaving like a fan, and coaches should be the ones who should be coaching. We get into trouble when parents start becoming coaches and they start coaching them even at home. Then the kids have no escape route and they start to fall down, and they don't have any emotional support. So we have a lot of people with mental issues in sport, because the idea that I didn't get my opportunity when I was young and I will give you everything to win now is not a good idea, because with all that also he he or she has enough and more chances of losing or failing winning a medal. Because if that is your only idea, then your pressure on them is too much for them to handle. So we need to actually think carefully, plan sport carefully, especially at a young age, and I think that would be very, very important.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Rahulji, would you like to ask something?
Absolutely. And Gopichan sir, it's a privilege. When we were listening to you, it's so deep, so profound, and so well articulated. I decided myself that I have two young boys. I'll definitely make them that sports angle, failure angle, definitely yes. So, as a parent, can you tell me what will be the most important lesson that you will be telling a parent to focus on their child? That's one failure you have mentioned. Any other particular aspect regarding values or ethics that you would like to mention about?
Well, I think each one of us, culturally, growth wise, I think personally also will have different areas which we think are very, very important. But I think to have them as good individuals, not become a nuisance to society, take care of their their individual growth, physically and mentally. And if they have an opportunity to help people, they should help people. I think these are the basic things which I think I would tell them. But also today's parenting, I think, is very, very challenging, because you don't know where they're picking up cues from, because that's a worrying concern. Because we could never I would never talk about these things, or parents would come to me in, sir, we don't know where he's picked this up from. Because I think it's so much of exposure today. I think it's such a big challenge to actually uh, control the outside environment. So I think to be close enough and have the safety net around without thinking of suffocating them, without the possibility of them feeling suffocated, I think is a big challenge. And I think we will need parenting courses which are important, because we've all got into this. I have got into this without being prepared. And I think it's very, very important when people get married. I think they should be asked these questions. Are we really ready for the parenting job? Do we have the time? Do we have the knowledge? Do we have the um, right kind of motivations, and I think that's very important. And we failed miserably in the last few years because we didn't address this in the sense. And I think it's very important that this subject is spoken about and people are be- getting ready on this very, very challenging job and responsible job.
Gopi sir, this is something I am sharing. This is a thought I'm sharing with the youngsters. This is a thought I'm sharing with the youngsters on a daily basis. So, overexposure. This is what I'm telling them, and please guide us. What is the difference between being clever, intelligent, wise, smart, worldly wise, insightful? There's a huge difference between these words. I'm asking them to drop the cleverness. Let the exposure make you insightful. Drop the cleverness. Sir, your thoughts on this, sir? The चालाकी छोड़ दो, छल कपट छोड़ दो, वाइज बनो, समझदार बनो, इंसाइटफुल बनो, थॉटफुल बनो, चालाकी छोड़ दो. जी सर.
Ma'am, the I think it comes from a larger issue, social issue, in the sense if somebody figures out a way to cheat the system and get something out of it, we are branding them as being clever and we are celebrating those things. Until this celebration happens, we are going to struggle because our role models are people who are actually cheating the system by being clever. So that is a challenge we have. Even in sport, and after being in sport for 40 years now and in coaching for the last 20 years, I can clearly say that unfortunately the most hardworking people are not the ones who always win. There are a bunch of factors which actually are beyond our control, which lead to people's success. So when people are successful, we don't need to idealize them just because they're successful. It's very important because what happens is out of the few thousands or lakhs of people who play, we have one champion. And we are looking at that champion and saying, boss, he knows everything. And he probably is lucky, he's born talented, and he's just put a little bit of work to it, and that's why he's successful. And there are probably few thousands who actually work even harder who actually failed. This is actually the reality. There are 1,000 people who swam to the other end of the shore, who tried to swim, and one guy who goes on the other side. We are saying, boss, I'll listen to you. You know everything, because there's only one person there or 5 people there. They are giving gyan to the others. It is not the case. Unfortunately, it is not the case, and I find it very sad that I've seen great hardworking kids lose. And I'm like, come on, this is not fair. But yeah, maybe their luck is not there, their fate is not there. But the guy who has won is definitely not the role model you want to. And they've done all the stupid things growing up, and they're on the other side, on the bright side, and then we have to listen to them. So for me, I am also always looking back at my own life and said, boss, I'm I won because so many other things fell in place. I'm a good coach today, or I'm recognized coach because so many things fell in line. So I just say, Bhagwan ki kripa hai. Thank you very much, God, for giving me this. And I'm always remembering that thanks to His grace, I am here. And I think that's the reality of how it is. So people to realize that the result is not the champion. The stories of people who actually done the process well and who've actually given their heart to the process is the champion. I think those stories are important, not the people who made the money, who've actually um, become champions, but maybe there are many, and not maybe, there are 100%, there are many stories of people who actually worked all their lives but couldn't make it. Those people um, have not been able to make it because they were not lucky sometimes, or their families were not supportive enough, or they had more other challenges. So I think it's time to start looking at people and process rather than results and money and end product.
जी sir. Sir,
What are the challenges, Gopi, are you seeing in the current youth right now? Because the generations change, values change, environments change, circumstances change. What are the new trends you're seeing in the current generation of champions to wanting to be champions?
Ma'am, one significant difference which I see, and it's a clear difference from say 2000 to 2016 to 2024, is that when we went in 2000 to the Sydney Olympics, when I went as a player, um, we won one medal, but 98% of the team, or even more, was happy collecting memorabilia, looking around and taking photographs. That is how the nature of the team was. We all wanted to be part of the opening ceremony. All wanted to be part of the closing ceremony. We wanted to be seen on television. That is how our mindsets were. Fast forward 2016 and even now, we had only two medals in 2016, and we have only six medals now in 2024. But almost 80% of the team or 90% of the team wanted to have clearly their best performances there. They may not have succeeded, but at least in their mind they wanted to win. And back in the day, if an athlete of another country came, they would actually be respectful and they would be like, oh, we are small, they are big, kind of a thing. But today, the young generation is ready to challenge the world. I think that is a clear difference in terms of confidence from where we were maybe 20 years to now. That is significant difference in the mindset. If somebody were to argue, they'll say, to hell with you, we know it. So I think that mental makeup is definitely something which has actually changed very clearly. That is something which I know. Other challenges, I think short term goals, short term gratification is, I think, something which is a big challenge, because for me, we would have tournaments only in December, and in February, March, we are thinking and training for December. That is how our mindsets would be. We were like 10 months, no tournaments. We're not like, I need to train. So every day morning, we're going training. But today, if I don't have tournament for 4 weeks, I have players almost like, oh, I don't have tournaments for 4 weeks. I'll go on a holiday or I'll spend time doing something else. I think that for me is the challenge which we have. Short term goals, instant something now. Long term, I think I just put in my effort and then it will be useful someday. I think that element is not there. So coaching today is more like you need to give them challenges every week, short-term goals leading to long-term goals. I think that's the way I had to change as well as per the new generation of kids. But belief um, and the drive, I surely see it a lot.
Overseas, Gopi, is parenting playing a greater role in sports achievement, or the coaches? Are the professionals the drivers, or are the parents the drivers overseas? In India, I do see some. I think there's a combination. You tell me that. How do you compare ourselves with the Western world?
Ma'am, it's very interesting, this question, because this question will give us answers on how India should be. And my challenge with the ecosystem has also been this. I think the way we are, we cannot have parents leave kids and go. We cannot have that. That's the Western world is able to do that, professional in the sense. But here, unless daughter gives a call to Lakshmi, my son gives a call to her every 2 days, and see, she's really worried. Our lives revolve around our kids more than any other culture in many ways. So for me, I think India's success is not IIT and IIMs, but India's success is the road to IIT and the road to IIMs. The father who takes the kid at 4 a.m. and stays outside that school and brings a tiffin dabba at 6 o'clock, milk at 6 o'clock, tiffin at 8 o'clock, and then takes him back home at 10 in the night. I think that is the model which sport also has to look at. I think we have to think differently because culturally we are different. And I think our success is this. And I think we need to celebrate and figure out ways in which we can work to ensure that our parents are more educated, our parents are more knowledgeable, and they are the ones who are actually driving their kids. And if done well, I think this should be India's model. And for people who've told me that India should have an IIT is successful model, I think no, the road to IIT is India's success. I think we involving our culture and parenting to grow is something which is the most important thing, and we need to think differently. And the world giving us gyan uh, should not make us change our road, and we need to find our own pathway.
How wonderful. What a great experience shared. What a
Yeah.
great experience shared. Would have come only from you. We couldn't have even imagined this. He's giving the model. How, and some of us are a product exactly of that model. And we continue to be a product. And even now, the stories, when you hear of the champions, they talk about this model as a combination, who got the right balance, who got the right, where the imbalance happened was different. But I think, what do you think, Ajay?
Yeah, I just want to ask Gopi, why are we not able to replicate the same success for badminton or shooting with other sports players? Is it because of absence of good coaches or talents, or is it because of a policy, absence of a policy?
Sorry, sir, I couldn't get your question properly.
Why are we not able to replicate the success that we have in badminton or in shooting to the other sports? Is it absence of good coaches?
If I understand the question, what you're asking is why is other sports not as successful as shooting or badminton, or is
Yes,
that the right question?
That's right.
yes,
Yeah.
That's
yes,
what he
sir.
said.
Yes, yes, sir.
Is it a
So
deficiency
there,
of coaches, etc.? That's what he's saying.
so I think a bunch of things. I think badminton. The frame of a badminton player, if you're a 5 feet 8, 5 feet 9, or 6 feet, you can be a good badminton player. And skill plays an important element. So we've actually our physicalities, all of us in this room can be good badminton players, but very few of us can be good basketball players because that needs a different
Yeah.
physicality. So I
Exactly.
think when you look at certain sports, there is an element of physicality which is a certain type which we need. Not that we cannot become, but it's very important that we talent search in our big country in those areas which have those talents. So we need to pick our sports correctly, which is very, very important. So if you have a chess, if you have a table tennis, you have badminton, you have doubles in tennis, these are sports where there is an element of skill which is there, but also there is our Indian typical general physicality is accepted as okay with it. So I think these are sports we will get talent anywhere. And in this place, if we get the right combination of talent and support from parents and from a good coach somewhere, then I think you produce these players.
That's true.
So you will, in a country like ours with such diverse things, to to make individual oasis of people and group work is far more easier than a system actually doing it. And wherever we have a need for a system to work, we have not done great. Wherever we've had individual oasis of people who are able to do well with support of family and coaches and the hard work of the person, we have done well. So all of these are examples of that oases which have happened. But if we need India to be producing 30 to 40 medals, then we need the system to move. And for me, the system is like an elephant. It's very hard to move. So we need a lot of effort to move. And luckily for us, we have the Prime Minister pushing it. So hopefully we will have the system moved as well.
So, how do you sometimes feel when each child is different and you're pouring your all your life experiences into each child, and each child
Individualized.
is absorbing it differently? How do you feel, sir?
So we can make this the
How
last
do you
question.
feel? Ji.
Gopi, we can make this the last question because Saina's having the sound interference in it. So she says, how do you individualize? How do you feel every child? How do you identify the individual, each child? Every child is a trophy. Each child is a medal for you.
Um, Ji, and I'm also asking, sir, what's going within you? We want to hear you. Your voice has been so beautiful today. What do you feel, sir? You're very sensitive. You're very emotional. How do you take care of your being? Because you're giving your all to each child.
Yeah.
How are you looking after yourself?
You live so many lives all over again. You live match to match, medal to medal. Gopi,
Yeah.
every
Yes,
medal is
actually,
yours, every loss is yours, every victory is yours. Every. And when your student is playing, I can understand what's going on with you, both as a parent and as a coach.
yes,
And
sir.
as an
How
expectation, when the whole country is expecting from you, what goes on within you.
yes, that's what my heart is. So how are you looking after yourself, taking care of yourself? Because your thoughts are so real to life. You're very sensitive, you're very emotional, and you pour all your love into each child. How are you taking care of yourself?
Totally dedicated.
Um, um, uh, for me, I think as a player, I was very unforgiving to myself. I would cry after every match, sometimes cry for days after each match, months after each match. So, for all my life, I have actually gone through hell playing sport. I have actually literally lost and cried and cried. My heart would beat the whole night after losing so loudly that I could never sleep. And I would just wish the whole earth came down and I don't have to face people again. That's how I felt. And as a coach, also for a long time, that is how I felt. Today, there is a lot of effort which I put in to win. but I'm very, very forgiving to the students when they lose. And I think it's okay. I think to hell with the world, it doesn't really matter. You've given it all you have. You have enough and more reasons to be proud, and doesn't matter. Just move on. I think for me, like I could see, for example, I've cried uh, during matches, I've cried after matches. Like for Pranoy at his World Championships, um, I was crying. At the Asian Games, I was crying. At this time, I was crying. I was crying because I know the kind of pain he was going through. He had chikungunya a month ago. He couldn't open a bottle of water, and his hands. I can imagine if you're a player, your shoulder is hurting or your knee is hurting, but your left hand fingers are hurting. That's like nightmare. So I'm sitting behind. I'm saying, God, just keep him healthy and keep him happy. To hell with the win. I don't even care, because I have seen many champions who are broken, and I don't want people to win at any cost. It's not worth it. And I think it's a very important thing that I don't care if that you become a champion or not. It's not important. I think just stay happy, stay healthy, enjoy the process, and God willing, you'll win. It's okay if you lose. And I think it's important that when you're on the job, you're trying and trying. It's very important. But when you're off it, just be grateful for what you have. Sometimes we forget that. I think whatever I have is happy enough. Whatever I get is good enough. Whatever I have is thanks to your grace, I'm grateful enough. I think to have a sense of gratitude to what you have is important, and to actually give it all you have is also important. But don't take it to heart too much. It doesn't matter. I think that's the sense I have. I'm a lot more forgiving to myself now, and that's the only way I'm going to continue. And since I haven't taken the responsibility of producing champions after champion for the rest of my life, that's not. It's not. मैंने कोई ठेका नहीं रखा है. And since I will give it all, I'll go back and I'll rest. And if everybody in the ecosystem wants me to work, I'll work. Otherwise, I'm happy where I am. And if I have big players come, okay. If I have small kids come, okay. If I have uh, 50-year-olds come, I'm a teacher and I love the job of teaching. I love the process of teaching, and that's why I'm coaching and not anything else. And I think that perspective for me is very important, because I don't care who's in the other side whom I'm teaching. I'm a teacher and my job is to teach. And if that gives me fame, very good. If that gives me money, very good. If that gives me produces players, very good. But I'll still get up and go at 4:30 in the morning, and I will coach because I love it. And if I'll do it till the day I love it. And if not, it's okay. God's been kind, and I'll celebrate my life for the rest of the time I have.
So you found your
Marvelous.
middle path. You found your middle path. You found your
Yes,
balance, and you found your compassion for yourself by age maturing and maturity.
hopefully. I think there's a
Gopi
long
sir,
way to go. I have actually
Yeah.
changed my perspective of life enough times uh, uh, to be humble enough to say that I might be wrong today. And maybe today is this way I feel, and tomorrow's I could feel another way. So be it. But this is what I feel today, and I live by what I feel today strongly.
So basically, you found compassion for yourself, and you're being compassionate towards your students as well.
Ji, Gopi sir, I have a special request.
Beta, I have to leave. Beta,
I
we have
just
got to end by time.
I just
There's
need a moment.
somebody
It's
waiting
on,
there.
yes, it's on a very lighter note. Gopi sir, can we have you back with us every few months for parenting?
Yes, that will be great.
Yeah, it'd be
Please,
great.
it's a request. Every few months, could you please
If
come
you know,
back?
because you're a wonderful combination of being a parent and a coach and a player yourself. Player, coach, parent. My God, what a rare combination. So,
Ji.
Gopi, you got to find time for us, maybe a few months
No, no,
later.
always, ma'am. It's an honor, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. You
Thank
and
you,
then
sir.
Lakshmi too. Next time we must have you and your wife as well. Maybe your
Yeah,
child
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
have
ma'am.
the family. We'll have the family look at parenting, mothering, daddy, mummy. I think it'll be great fun. We'll have the
Yes.
family next time when we let's have the family. Okay, Saina?
Ji,
Okay.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much, and forgiveness for this audio
Thank you.
issue today. But you were
Thank you. You've
lovely,
done it
sir.
against
You
odds.
were
Yeah.
lovely. Ji, sir.
Done it against all odds in Orissa. I believe you have a appointment with the Chief Minister of Orissa right now. Am I
Yes.
there? You're there. So
No, no,
despite all
it's
odds,
tomorrow, but I'm actually happy that we've been using the Odisha government conference room.
yes,
Actually, I
right.
was
How nice.
at that.
So you've
Lovely,
done
sir.
with what you had, and you made the best of whatever you, wherever you were. Lots of victories, lot of contentment, lot of achievement, lot of prosperity for you, and very good health and the growth for your family. Our prayers are with you.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
sir. Ji, sir. God bless you. Ji, Harima, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ajay, sir. Thank you, mommy. We
Thank you.
thank our audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Ji,
you.
sir.
Thank you.